Hi friends, it's Kunal, your founder of Coursetake and author of the book Company and Position Specific Interview Prep. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to this free training session where we're going to talk about all the steps that are necessary for you to go ahead and ace your upcoming interview. So if you've got an interview coming up, I want to really break down the process of how do you go in there and absolutely blow away your interviewers and come out with that job offer that you probably so desire. So we're going to take the entire process, which is pretty complicated at times, it's convoluted at times, so we're just going to break it apart into small steps that you can follow one step at a time and go in there and ace your upcoming interview. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started right away. So what I have presented here and what you can see on your screen right now is something known as the Interview Mastery Framework, which consists of 8 core steps and 3 acceleration steps. Now the 8 core steps are steps that you got to follow one step at a time, one after the other, and make sure that you're successful. But if you really want to accelerate your results, if you want to really just take it to that next level and come out with the best offer that you can ever get, then you've got to look at the 3 acceleration steps as well. And as you're going through these 8 steps, you've got to follow these 3 acceleration steps one step at a time, as you're going through those 8 steps. So that's why it's called the 8x3 interview mastery framework. Okay, so we're going to start with the 8 steps. Now don't worry about going into details of the 8 steps in this particular video. I'm going to have this video is part of an entire series, so we're going to go and focus on each of the different steps in further detail as we go through the entire program. So don't worry about it right now. Let's just think about the big picture. Let's just think about the the high level in this video, and then we're going to go into details as you go forward. So just watch this entire playlist, and I'm sure by the end of it you'll be ready to go in and completely blow away your interviewers. All right, so let's get started. So step number 1 is all about figuring out the interview process. Now you've got to be crystal clear about what to expect in your interview process going forward before you get started on your journey. So if you have an interview with, say Microsoft for its sales manager position, you've got to be crystal clear on how Microsoft interviews candidates, what that process is all about. Are you going to have phone screens? How many phone screens are you going to have? Who are those phone screens typically with? Are you going to have any group interview? Are you expected to do presentations? What about an on-site interview? Will you be invited on campus? Is it going to be a face-to-face interview on Skype, or it's going to be some sort of a video conferencing like interview? You've got to understand that entire process in great detail before you actually embark on the journey, because if you understand the process, what's going to happen is you can use that process to be able to you can prepare appropriately and as per the process. But if you don't understand the process, you might get caught off guard, and if you're caught off guard, that's not really good, right? You're not going to be the best interviewee at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to convince the interviewer. So the more preparation that you do up front, the more it's going to help you ace your upcoming interview. So that's step number 1, is to figure out the interview process. Now how do you figure that interview process out? Well, you can go to websites like glassdoor.com, you can go to sites like coursetake.com and look at how we have, or you can just do some online research. You can ask friends and family, you can ask people who work there, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn. There are different techniques that you can use to figure out the interview process. You can just read forums online. So there's a bunch of things that you can do, but what's important here is to make sure that you're crystal clear on what those steps are of the interview process before going in. All right, so that's step number 1. Step number 2 is study the industry. Now you've got to make sure that you study the industry that your company operates in great detail. It's extremely important because your fundamental understanding of the industry that company operates in will showcase to the interviewer that, look, this person is prepared. This guy or gal has really done their homework before going in. They understand the industry dynamics. They understand what are the strengths and the weaknesses of that industry. They understand who are the competitors, what are the opportunities, what are the weaknesses of that industry, and are able to speak really confidently to that industry. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you understand the industry really well. So for example, if you're applying to a job offer or you're interviewing with AT&T, then you want to understand the telecommunication services industry in great detail. If you're applying to Microsoft, depending on which division that you're applying to Microsoft in, you might want to study, the devices industry in great detail or the business services industry in great detail, whatever that case may be. So you've got to make sure that you first identify the industry and then study the industry. Now in future videos, when we get to step number 2, I will teach you exactly how to study the industry, a bunch of questions that you've got to answer in order to be able to study the industry in great detail. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is studying the company. Now you've studied the industry. Now you go one level deeper in the funnel and start studying the company. You've got to make sure that you understand the company in great detail. What's the mission of this company? What's the vision of this company? What are some of the values that this company stands for? Who are the competitors of this company? What are the main products and services that this company, is producing for its customers? Who are these customers? What are their demographics? Who's the CEO? Who's the leader of your organization? What are his or her characteristics? What are some of those opportunities that this company is looking to invest in the future? So there are a bunch of questions that if you understand really well about this company, and you'll be surprised, my friends, a lot of people come to my offices to interview with the company that I work for, come to interview for Coursetake as well. And the problem that they have, they don't understand the company, and it is a complete turn off for interviewers. And I've seen that time in and time again in my 15 years of interviewing candidates. So you've got to make sure that you study the company in great detail before you go into the interview. So you should understand the interview process. You've got to study the industry, the big picture. You've got to go a level deeper, study the company. And then once you study the company, you go to step number 4, which is all about studying the job description. So now you've studied the company. Now you've got to go to the position. That's why it's company and position specific interview prep. Now you go to the position and you've got to understand the position and what it entails. And that's why you've got to study the job description. You're probably thinking, study the job description. That's pretty dumb. I know what the job entails. Well, do you really? If you go through the job description and go through it line by line, right, you will start figuring out the keywords that are important for this particular company. So those keywords can be used as a cheat sheet. So just imagine if you look at the job description and you you find certain keywords that are really important for this particular company, and then you speak to those keywords, or you speak to those skills, or you speak to those responsibilities in the interview. You can use the job description really as a cheat sheet for your interview. And this is a technique that people don't use in the industry. Unfortunately, people who prepare for interviews don't really use this technique, and I'll show you in future videos on how to use the job description to your advantage when going into an interview. And again, I've seen this times and times again, my friends. You've got to study the industry, study the company, study the job description, use that as a cheat sheet, use keywords from the job description that you can speak to in your interview process, and you will come out an absolute winner, because the person on the other side who has written the job description most likely is going to feel, look, this person has done their homework. They are exactly the kind of fit that I'm looking for this particular job. And that's the process that you've got to use. Okay. So once you're done with step number 4, then you go to step number 5, which is studying the main question types. Now, there are, 8 main question types that I recommend that you study for, and I will teach you again how to study for those 8 main question types, what those 8 main question types are. But you've got to be crystal clear and prepared for those 8 main question types. Those question types could be, as simple as, tell me about yourself, or, why do you want to work for this company? Why do you want to work for this industry? Why this particular position is interesting to you? I mean, these questions really set the pace of how the rest of the interview is going to go. Or tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult co-worker. Tell me about a time when you had to do X. Tell me about a time when you had to do Y. Maybe those come directly from the job description. Now you know why you have to study the job description, because if there's a line in the job description and then you might get a question asked, but tell me about a time when you did that, right? So again, we'll look at this in great detail, but you've got to make sure that you study these 8 main question types in great detail. And once you're prepared for those 8 main question types, and of course some extra question types may be related to the particular job or the particular field that you're in. There might be some technical questions, there's some extra questions that you've got to study, but these 8 main question types that I'm going to teach you about are going to set the pace for the entire interview process. And if you can nail these, you're going to come out an absolute winner. Again, I'm going to show you how to answer them. I'm going to give you frameworks on how to answer them. I'm going to show you, how you've got to work on them. Then we go to step number 6, which is to practice. My friends, most people don't practice for the interview. That's why they lose out on the interview process. The reason people fail at interviews is not because they don't know their stuff. It's not because they have stellar profiles. It's not because they have great resumes. All that works. What they don't have is the confidence to go in there and absolutely come out a complete winner, to blow away the interviewers. And how does that confidence come? Well, the confidence is going to come only if you practice. So you've got to practice. You got to practice. I've got hundreds of questions that I'm going to give you that you can practice for, again, as part of the entire video series. So just hang in there and we'll go through them in great detail. Okay, so you got to practice. You got to stand in front of the mirror if needed. You've got to speak out to yourself. At least these 8 main question types, at minimum these 8 main question types that we've been talking about, you've got to practice them in great detail. Okay, then we go to step number 7, and step number 7 is all about asking the right questions. Friends, people don't ask good questions in interviews, and it's a total turn off for the interviewer on the other side. So you've got to make sure that you ask the right questions. Now, the good news is I have a framework again that you can use to ask the right questions. So we'll see that in future videos as well. I'll give you that framework. You've got to ask good questions. You don't want to ask stupid questions. And I'll tell you exactly again what stupid questions are. You're going to ask the right questions that showcases your passion for the company, showcases that your strengths match the strengths of the job description, showcases your fit for the particular company, your motivation for that company. The right questions will set the frame to give you an offer or not. And it's the final piece that will just close the entire process and make sure that you get your job offer. And then finally, you got to get to step 8, which is getting ready for interview day. And I call that I day, right? So on I day, you've got to get ready. You've got to have your resume right. You've got to look your best. You've got to be confident. You've got to make sure that you have your, clothes ready to go. You've got to dress up the right way. You've got to clean up your LinkedIn profile, your social media profiles. You've got to make sure your pictures online, your online presence is maintained professionally. So all that you've got to do, you've got to make sure that you're ready to go. So if anyone looks you up, if anything is, anyone wants to, any information that's probably missing, and it's all there with you. You've got to have the right folder ready. Again, I've got a checklist that I will give you, and you can just pretty much use that checklist to make sure that you're ready for interview day. Okay, so these are the 8 steps that you've got to follow, my friends. And if you think about it, if you cover all these 8 steps, now they might sound simple, but people don't do it. A lot of people will just focus on steps number 5 and 6. Sometimes they always study questions. They'll go online, look for interview questions, but they'll not study the industry. They won't study the company. They won't study the job description in great detail. They won't practice the kind of questions that they should be asking. They won't, get ready. I had a candidate come in once, and he came in like shorts, once for an interview. Now, maybe it might work for some companies, but for a company like ours at that time, we were not a very casual company. So you've got to make sure that, shorts was a complete turn off because everyone there was in business casuals. So you've got to make sure that you dress up the right pattern. You've got to figure all these things together. When you complete these 8 steps together, that completes the entire process. It closes the loop and ensures that you're going to get the final job offer. Now, you've got to do these 8 steps, but if you truly want to accelerate your results, if you want to get there and make sure that you get to the next level, there are 3 other steps that you have to follow. Okay, so let's look at those 3 steps. And those are what I call the 3 acceleration steps that you should be following throughout the 8-step process. As you're going through these 8 steps, you want to make sure that you follow these 3 acceleration steps. So the first thing is get motivated. Folks, enjoy this process. Get motivated. Get excited. Look, you're making a big change in your life. All right, you're either starting off your new career, you're changing your career, you're out of a job right now, you're looking for that next move. Look, get excited, get motivated. How do you get motivated is what I'm going to teach you in future videos. But you've got to make sure that you understand that throughout the process, as you get stressed, as you get confused, as your motivation is down, keep that out of the way and get motivated, get excited, and take this new journey that you're getting into a new process. All right, so that's what it's all about. You've got to make sure that you're motivated throughout the process, and I'm going to teach you steps on how to be motivated throughout the process, in future videos as part of this free training series. Then this acceleration step number 2 is about getting organized. Look, there's so much stuff that I've given you here. You've got to study the industry. You've got to study the company. You've got to get a job description taken care of. You've got to, practice. You've got to start scheduling some time on your calendar. You've got to get yourself organized. You've got to get your cheat sheets, your sheets ready. You've got to have, your calendar, everything scheduled on your calendar, time to study. So if you have 1 week left for your interview, you've got to make sure that you plan out that entire week. You have slots on your calendar where you're studying all these different things. You're practicing. You've got to get organized, my friends. If you want to make sure that you get the job offer, and not just a job offer, a really good job offer, you want to make sure that you give your absolute best foot forward. And to give your best foot forward, you've got to get organized. So that's step number 2. Again, we'll teach you tips and techniques and tricks on how to get organized, how to ensure that you stay organized throughout the entire process. And then you've got to stay consistent. My friends, you got to stay consistent. If things don't work out as part of this interview process, just move on. That's fine. Just, if you don't get the job offer, it's okay, just move on to the next one. Look, the entire process of finding a job is nothing but a game of numbers. It's nothing but conversion from one step of the process to the other. Okay, so just let it convert. If you have only one job offer, the probability of you getting, if you have only one job interview, the probability of you getting that job might be, 50%. But if you have 2 job offers, If you have 2 job interviews coming up, then you increase your probability of getting one of those job offers. If you have 3 job interviews coming up, you have a higher probability of getting 1 job offer. If you have 4 interviews coming up, then you have a higher probability of getting a job offer. So you can clearly see that, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So you've got to stay consistent. You can't let an interview rejection or a bad interview get you off course. You're going to make sure that you stay on the course, you're focused, you're motivated, you're organized, and you're consistently moving forward till you get the dream job offer. But that only comes if you do these 8 steps and you ensure that your mind is right by getting motivated, by getting yourself organized and staying consistent. All right, my friends. So that was the entire process. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to talk about a lot of other stuff. We're going to continue this entire process as part of the entire free training series, where we're going to look at each of these steps in great detail. I'm going to go through each of the 8 core steps, as well as give you the 3 acceleration steps on how do you take your career to the next level. All right, so my friends, best of luck. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you soon again. This is Kunal, founder of Coursetake and author of Company and Position Specific Job Interview Prep, signing off. Take care. Bye.